Bridgie, my favourite podcast. With every guest, we go back to the start. What was it like for a young Wayne Bridge growing up in Winchester?
I had such a good childhood. I loved it. Where my kids grow up now, it's like they don't have what I had. They don't have the community of all the kids going out and playing together. You know, even before school, mate, we were playing football before school, playing football at lunchtime, then you'd rush home, eat your dinner at like 4 o'clock to go out and play football for 4 or 5 hours.
Going back, your dad would have been, you know, Southampton fan, the boys are Southampton fans, so talk us through first team debut, lost to Liverpool at 2-1. What do you remember about that day?
I remember squandering a couple of chances, if I'm totally honest.
Because you was a striker, a left winger?
Left winger, yeah. So I was quick. I was very quick, a bit slimmer. I did start to build out a little bit, but yeah, I was quick. I think the end of the last season, I went away on the end of season tour, played against like a Barcelona reserve squad. I think I was up against Reisiger. And back then there was a bit of a drinking culture, we all know. Yeah. I went out before the game, so the lads took me out, it was end of season. Don't know how I made it to the game because
before
they
you played Barca
before we played
Nou
Barca.
Camp.
Stitched me right up. I don't even remember getting to bed. I think I got carried to bed. Got up, because I was young, I just cracked on really, played really well. And then, because John Beresford was playing, like, so didn't expect to be on the bench. And then 6 minutes in, Beresford breaks his leg. And my name goes, he's like, get warmed up. I couldn't believe it.
Really?
My dad was a bit teary. And to be fair, I played really well. Remembering the game, it was basically squandering. I think I got put clean through and ran through, took the shot way too early, smashed it over the bar. It's
at this time early on in your Southampton career that we first met. West Ham, Chelsea.
Led astray.
Yeah, it's all my fault, ladies and gentlemen. We got there, didn't we? We had a FA dignitary looking after us.
That we never knew was there. I didn't know he was there anyway.
I'm not going to blame you, but I think you was the first one. You was like, all right, Geese, where are we going then tonight? And I was like...
We ended up going out in our England tracksuits.
We went out in our England tracksuits. How on earth are we going to get into a nightclub here? But we did.
I remember running up and down the corridor. We were all banging. Were we banging on?
It was banging
on his door.
Banging on his door, like and this is nothing.
That was definitely your idea. I didn't know what room he was in.
and then years later,
I remember this
FA Cup final.
Yeah.
You're getting. He's one of the FA dignitaries that are getting like shaking your hands. This is like 6 years later. I've not seen him since. And he just leaned into me and gone, I don't forget that night, you all woke me up smashing on my door at 4 in the morning. But fair play to him, he didn't have a go at us the next day, he didn't do anything.
No, that was the start of our friendship.
Yeah, that's it. I thought, yeah, he's a bit of me. Hugely successful time at Southampton. It ended up with the club getting to the FA Cup final against the great Arsenal team. Your last game, you know, you're at the top of your game and you come out for pre-season, and that's we both signed for Chelsea in that summer. You, a few weeks before him. How did that come about?
I honestly don't know if there was anyone else coming in. There was always talk of Liverpool. If I'm totally honest, I didn't want to go.
Really?
No.
Why? Just happy?
I was just happy. I was comfortable. I enjoyed playing football there. Because my agent basically made me go and hand in transfers, go and speak to the manager, tell him you want to go.
Yeah.
Because they weren't getting
anywhere.
And
you're telling your
club.
agent, you quite like it here, you want to stay?
Yeah.
Right.
But he was saying, I'm not going to give you a contract, they don't want to give you any more money, they actually want to sell you off, you need to go and tell the manager. And I look back and I think to myself, I haven't even taken everything he said, I've just I've gone on his advice and gone in and spoke to the manager.
Yeah.
And it's Strachan, so I just remember walking in there. You know, I always used to think handing the transfer request was on a bit of paper, you say hand it in, with a little bit of paper, there's my transfer request. They're like, no, you've got to go in and speak to him and, you know, say Chelsea are in and you want to leave. And I just remember, as soon as I said, he went, yeah, do one, and basically kicked me out of his room. And to be honest, that pre-season, he just punished me for wanting to go. And even the day before I left, because I was still at the club, he made me do loads of extra running and stuff just to make a point of it. But I got on really well with him and I've spoke to him afterwards and everything. He was a great manager. I don't look back on regret on leaving, but I wasn't jumping up and down, kicking and screaming to get out there. Just Southampton were willing to they just wanted me out and wanted the money, really.
What was your first thoughts then going into that dressing room with all the great players at Chelsea? The training ground was an absolute carsy, so it's sort of like messes your head. You know you're going to a big club that wants to win the league and the Champions League and the FA Cup, but you're going to, remember the training ground? It was dreadful, wasn't it? Harlot.
So bad. Change room was bad. pitches are bad, and you're like, what is going on? But we're always thinking it's going to change.
Yeah,
like, we
yeah.
know it's going to change.
Yeah.
But we're like, how long is this going to take? Because it's taking ages.
Do you remember when we had to like leave?
Leave early because college.
The college netball
College that were
hockey team or something.
were coming in. I have to be totally honest, I was nervous.
Yeah,
I was nervous.
I was nervous.
Playing with, bigger, better players and there is pressure. You get brought, so there's pressure. So I was definitely nervous.
Dickon, you played 48 games that first year. The goal against Arsenal in the quarterfinals Champions League is such a historic goal for Chelsea. That was, for me, that was the changing of the guards. That was when us as a team said, like, no, we've arrived.
Again, with me, I get that. I look at that. But I always look at the downside too much. And I do, because I think we did that and we're going to throw it away.
I know.
The next game.
I know.
So don't you worry, it's one of the best moments.
Yeah.
I was that excited, I didn't even realise they needed 2 goals. So I'm getting the ball and just kept smashing it away. And Lamps are going, Bridgie, they need 2 goals, calm down, keep the ball. I was like, I didn't know, Lamps, sorry, geez.
I remember going back in the dressing room at Highbury and it was so tight, wasn't it? And someone's gone, double bonus.
Adrian Mutu, that was, I think.
And everyone's like, wow,
everyone just
bonus.
went mental.
And then we started partying again.
It was amazing. And one thing it takes me back to when I look at the footage back sometimes, when it pans to Ranieri and he starts crying.
Yeah.
And I remember Scotty Parker just gripping him up from behind.
Chelsea's Chelsea. They changed the manager with Jose. Do you remember that meeting he had with us when he come to meet the England players? We were all sitting there, and it's weird, isn't it? Like, it was before the start of next season, but he'd come to see us. And I remember him saying to us, I'm the man. If you lot follow me, we're gonna win the league. And I remember walking out of the room just thinking, wow, this guy's a serious guy.
And also I'm thinking, this is going to be intense. You've got to go with him. It's like, you've got to stay, you've got to come with me, you've got to go with me, you've got to believe in me. And I think you see that from the first training session.
They were good, weren't they? Changed football.
It was so good. It was strange at first. Remember, he has to stop training a couple of times if say, don't pass it like that, you pass it like you mean it, every pass.
Yeah, everything.
And it was intense and I loved it. And even if it got to a stage where you weren't playing and you were training the next day, you were going to enjoy training.
Yeah. The moment I remember was St James's Park, Newcastle, Patrick Kluivert, and you went down. And when you went down, certain players go down and you're like...
It was Shearer,
Was it?
Shearer, but Kluivert was the one saying, get him off the pitch.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
OK, so
I remember I just want a 2-foot Kluivert after that.
Coming for you, Patrick, man. Don't come for
Bit
any...
boxing.
I bet
he's got
any
a long
Legends
jab,
games.
though.
Yeah, I bet he can have me, actually. I'll leave him. After the game, in the dressing room, and you're there at half-time and you can see you're in so much pain, but you're sort of inconsolable at that time.
That season was a difficult one for me because I turned the corner with Mourinho because I had this time with Mourinho where I just wasn't playing, he wasn't happy with me. And then not a lot of people know it, that a few weeks before I broke my leg, I definitely turned the corner with him and he put his arm around me. He said, do you know what, you've been great, keep going. He said, we've got some important games coming up. I think we have Barcelona coming up and stuff like that. He said, you're going to be playing. It was the first time he had really been really positive and put his arm around because he was really pleased with me.
Yeah.
I was devastated, but I knew straight away. Do you know what it was? The first time I'd worn blades.
Really?
And I was always umming and ahhing about wearing blades. I wasn't sure, and I never liked changing my boots. I thought, do you know what, I'm going to go for it. My foot got stuck, and then Shearer come across me, and I just felt it snap. I just knew it had snapped. Because when you go in and see the surgeon, they're not the most tactful.
No.
They're just like, your career could be over, and you're just like, straight away, you're like...
How'd you digest that?
Yeah, I couldn't. And then I got my agent coming in, who was chatting absolute waffle.
Yeah.
I remember being in the hospital and you had beaten Liverpool in the League Cup final. And Mourinho called me from the bus.
Yeah.
And he was going, that was for you and stuff like that. And I actually started crying. It was like you could hear everyone cheering, saying it was for you. And it made me feel really emotional. I was just sat in the hospital bed with my leg up. And I was obviously buzzing for everyone. It was just the kindness of everyone going out their way to call me and say that, and it made me really emotional. You
come back and you ended up playing 33 games and you played in both the League Cup final and the FA Cup final. Was it the first one we won 1-0 against Man United?
I remember beating Man United 1-0, yeah.
So that was the one
Ash
where...
come on, and I think Ash come on that game. We were both on the pitch that time.
Yeah, that's so you know, fantastic time at Chelsea. I know there was injuries in it, but I think overall the Chelsea fans think fondly of them. They love you. But I want to start talking to you about England now, because we both went to the 2002 World Cup as youngsters, didn't we? Really.
Yeah.
Do you remember all the clobber we got given when we got in the rooms?
Yeah.
There was like
so much stuff.
There was laptops, there was computer games.
Buzzing. Yeah, there's loads.
Suits, clothes. I just remember ringing up my dad going, Dad, you're going to have to get a car here. I can't take all this out to the tournament. We've got some stuff for the boys here.
I remember calling my dad, I've got a watch for your dad, I've got this for you. There's a couple of things that stand out for me. This is one, I don't know if it will for you. You're good, you're a tricky player. And I remember Scholesy once lost it because you had done a few and he come through and smashed it. Do you remember it?
Yeah.
So I remember training at England was always intense.
Yeah. No, you get your little voices in your head, you're thinking, I can't have that, I can't have that. No, I leave it. It's the day before the World Cup. No, I can't have that, I can't have that. And then the ball just went to him and went, right, he's getting it. And I went bang and just clamped him. And then the whole place, and I went quiet, like the tumbleweed come past. And Sven, for never raised his voice, went, oh, Joe, and Steve McLaren, I just went like, what? I think, you look back, I'm 20 and I've just booted our best player before the World Cup.
Do you know what? I think he must have done like around the world round someone, a little step over, and he just didn't like it, did he? And he come in and took you and knocked the ball. Yeah. I think it's really hard to train and not take it seriously.
I know. Well, you have to, don't you? You played 36 times for England, Bridgie. You scored one. I remember this. I
actually got left behind at that World Cup, actually. They forgot to bring me home.
That's right, yeah. After the night out in 2002.
When we were drowning our sorrows, we woke up the next day to fly home and they left me in the hotel.
Was it you and Ash?
I was left back in the change room. I was left back in the hotel.
Didn't you have to get the bullet train back to meet us?
No, they left Ash as well, actually, didn't they? Yeah, they left Ash. There was both of us left. I got in a taxi and Ash woke up an hour later and got a bullet train.
The fault of an England squad losing a player.
Yeah, that was mad, isn't it?
He's like mental. No, I remember because we had a drink. We lost to Brazil in the quarterfinals, and we had a drink upstairs in the bar. I remember. I just had the old jester at one point. I had the jester out, not the England jester out fans. Don't know how I got hold of that. Shirt off, dancing, partying. Like, because after a World Cup, there's such a build-up of pressure. You've not done anything for 5 weeks. Just bang, 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 and you've lost. Yeah. And you just go a bit mad, didn't you?
Yeah, everyone's a bit different. I think some people like getting there and just have a drink and and some people just probably go back to their room and like be a bit.
Mickey Bart was there, Robbie Fowler.
Yeah, there's a few. There's a lot of the lads there, weren't there? Yeah, a lot of the lads.
And there's no right or wrong to do it. We've got players who've got stick for that in the past.
Yeah.
But all of them players were on it and doing everything we can. But once you're beaten...
it was done, innit? And it's like, what do you do? Leave it and then go out the following week. Yeah, it is on to the next one. I remember walking on the coach and the manager started just shouting, and he called me a girl and he called me this or whatever. And I'm a bit like, do you know what, I'll play. Yeah. And I tore it in 2 places.
Did you?
And from then, that was me and him done.
Going back to Chelsea, 2009, January, was it the Man City deal come about?
Another one, didn't want to go. Scolari ended up coming in and it was him that I went to speak to. And I just said, so Man City have come in. What do you think, me staying and that? And he went, have they offered you more money? I went, yeah, but we might as well go then. I thought, oh, great. So it kind of made my mind up a little bit, really? Even though I didn't want to. The fact that he was happy to. And it was the same as Chelsea. New owner, more money coming in again, and something they're going to build on. And I'm one of them people, I don't like to use my brain too much, but I got stuck in an MRI scan for about an hour. And my agent said, I just remember you coming out, you looked like you had seen a ghost, and you reeled off about 100 questions to me. And he said, I could see you were worrying about everything. Where am I going to live? Where am I going to do this? When am I signing the contract? When have I got to move? And it was just like, it was just one of them things that I just had so many questions. I hated change, and I just used to worry about change and little things that were going to happen.
What was the similarities and what were the differences? Like, because I list the players, Mika Richards, Company, De Jong, Elano, Robinho, some talented players and characters in that dressing room.
It was hard, because I felt like at Chelsea, it was a proper team.
Right.
Like I said, the work ethic that everyone had for each other.
Yeah.
The way we set up to play. Everyone knew what everyone was going to do.
Yeah.
And I went to a team that I honestly thought, first game I thought, we're a bit all over the shop here. So going for a team that had such good structure to it, and like for me, loved Robinho, great lad, great player, but me playing behind him, it was totally different.
Are you saying Robinho didn't cover for you like Chris Marsden?
He was never going to do anything for me. There was no point in me overlapping.
Yeah.
He was never going to give me the ball, maybe the odd occasion, so I used to still go.
Yeah.
But he just wanted to do his thing. So for me, it was just a different way of playing. I was just a left-back. I couldn't really bomb on that much. And I felt like with him, if I was going to bomb on, it was, shall I go? Because he's going to try and beat 3 or 4 players and then he's going to lose it and then I'm out of position.
Yeah.
They got to where Chelsea were, but where I was in a team that were already there, it was like going backwards a little bit. And I found it quite hard.
Did you? Sparky, Mark Hughes, the manager.
Good manager. I think sometimes he might have struggled to deal with some of the Brazilians and the way they were. When he got sacked, I think, for instance, me 100%, I think Bellamy 100% felt like as a team we had let him down. Us as a team didn't do enough for him. And then obviously they brought Mancini in, but I think a few of us felt like a little bit of a letdown for Sparky.
When a manager gets a sack, you see, what really annoyed me was players who, like, you see them coming in the next day buzzing and, like, getting on it and start training properly. I used to take it personally.
I feel like if we're ever out of favour, manager, I'm sure you own. Because you're still thinking, there might be a chance, and you still give everything. I call
them the 2-week wonders. They turn up for 2 weeks after a new manager and start training, running round,
and then
see them in the gym with the bands like that.
Yeah.
The Man City you had your injury problems there as well, and you went out on loans. What one of them was the one you enjoyed the most?
I'd have to say Brighton.
Yeah. I was
West Ham is up there for me. I know the fans can be hard to please sometimes, but I liked it as a club. Do you know what it reminded me of? A bit of Southampton.
Yeah.
Yeah, the backroom staff. And you want to do well for them, right? You actually really... I know you want to do well, but you really want to do well for the club. My debut was terrible.
Really?
In terms, I gave a penalty away. I played Theo Walcott on the side. We had Avram Grant as manager. It was really tough. And we ended up going down. That hurts me a lot, that it went that way. And I definitely take part of the blame, obviously, because I went there on loan. But again, that was a lot of players at that club, Joe, that just didn't have the fight or didn't want to give the fight. It was horrible. I would have loved to have stayed and gone back up with them the following year. Then there was Sunderland, which was just, God knows why I went there, to be honest. No offence, Sunderland fans, but there was a chance of Reading, who it was going back down south for me from Manchester, and then my agent talked me into going there, and as Martin O'Neill was the manager, I just got there and just wasn't playing. I was like, what am I doing here? I was going to go to Reading, there was talk of playing, and I just didn't get Martin O'Neill as a manager. Honestly, I really did not get it. I started to get issues a lot with knees and groins. Brighton come about. It was difficult to get there, because I was at Man City. Robert Mancini just wasn't having me at all, and it was just about trying to get out.
At the start, it was okay.
It was okay. Look, I went to Man City and I did okay. I didn't play great. I didn't have great performances. I did okay. And he was fine with me. And it was just a little injury I had at the start of the season, which was a crack in a metatarsal. But Man City was like, just strap it up and get out there. It was that. And he would like wave his arms at you and have the right hump with you. And it's like, well, I'm going off the advice of the physios and that. It's rest, I need rest. And I remember coming back, I'd only trained a little bit, Europa Cup, and I had a really tight quad and I felt it. And it didn't feel, and I'm not one of them people that will say it and it says, I'll always just do the best I can and play. I'll only say it if it's a real issue. I said to Pat, it feels really tight now, it don't feel right. And I remember walking on the coach and the manager started just shouting, and he called me a girl and he called me this or whatever. And I'm a bit like, do you know what, I'll play. And I tore it in 2 places.
Did you?
Part of me, I wish I turned around and just said no and told him to do one. But I played and I tore it in 2 places. And from then, that was me and him done. I trained with the kids there was a few players, Adebayo, Shea Given, Craig Bellamy, and I never caused a problem.
You struggle with your body now, and you're one of the toughest men I know.
I'm definitely paying the price, definitely.
Paying the price.
But I'm also doing things I probably shouldn't do, like skateboarding. But do you know what it is? You do.
Was it a relief when you finished because of the pain, or was you gutted?
I'm probably not ready. Is anyone ever ready? I don't think I was ready.
No.
And luckily it was through injury, because I probably would have just kept going.
But you've done some... Well, first of all, we climbed Mont Blanc together, didn't we, for charity? That was an eye-opener. That was an eye-opener, because this guy, I'm in disarray. I'm in a dreadful way. We get up to the side of was it the Blackhorn or something, mountains. You went, Geez, film me, I want to do a circuit on top of here. I've never, at that moment I hated you a little bit. He's just doing press-ups.
I remember we're walking along at one point, and we've been doing this mountain for about 7 hours, was it? 7 hours.
This is a training day.
I put a bit of music on, lift the mood a little bit. Come on, Joe, what tune do you want on? I can't remember I remember what he said to me, but I can't say it on camera. But
all like people who've probably got experience climbing, they've built up to Mont Blanc. Me and him, like a couple of donuts, just turned up. Don't know where to put the crampons on. Don't put this on. So we got up. I'm there. We've got the wrong gear on. The gear's looking at us like, This is dangerous what you're doing.
It was bad. It's the worst.
I remember him saying that we might have to turn back.
Experienced.
I'm looking at it thinking, because I ain't turning back here.
It was tough. And there was a lot of people that only got halfway up and just turned around.
Yeah, I think you said...
We got halfway up and had a couple of pints, I think.
Bridgie, it's been an absolute privilege, mate. My favourite one so far. Just one more thing. Will you do the quick fire round for us?
Quick fire as in like quick fire, no sentence, just sharp.
And you know you said you didn't like
explaining, because I can't waffle.
You said you didn't like to use your brain. Like most of us footballers.
Yeah,
right,
using it about thinking, that's the thing.
That's it, yeah. Right. Which player give you the toughest time?
I've always said it, and there isn't one, there's two. Sean Wright-Phillips and Aaron Lennon.
Yeah. Good, yeah.
Low centre of gravity, sharp, get at ya. You've always got to stay switched on, and where they're so quick, you've got to stay switched on. You've got to read when they go in, so them two, 100%.
Favourite manager you've ever worked with?
Oh, bloody hell, it's too hard. I'd probably just have to go Glenn Hoddle. I think he was great for me. He did so much for me, and I was gutted when he left.
Do you know what?
I was gutted he never brought me. Not that I wanted to go and play for Tottenham, because not particularly a Tottenham fan, I like. But it would have been nice if he had brought me as well. But yeah, I love playing with him. I think he was brilliant, and he was ahead of his time, tactically brilliant.
You're not the first person to say that. We love Glenn. Biggest regret of your career?
But there's loads, you know, debuts of West Ham and things like that where they haven't gone right. But I think if there's one regret, it would be not working on my mental strength and my confidence as much, I think I'd probably say. You know, there's loads of regrets you could say, I wish I'd not gone out as much and prolonged my career, but I think it would be working on myself, inner self and confidence, probably.
That's really interesting. If you could have played with any player, past or present, who would you have chosen that?
So hard. I'd have to go for ability and night out. I'd have to toss a coin between Gascoigne and Maradona, I think.
Because you're Wayne Bridge, we'll let you have both of them.
If you're going to make me pick one, I'll just go Gascoigne, he's English.
I'd like to be... he's mine, and I'd like them... what a night out we'd have.
Oh, great. But their ability, like, just unbelievable.
Players.
Yeah.
Absolute pleasure, Geese.
Top man, Geese. Thank you very much.
Sport Pods.